It's a brand new morning, rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear me neighbor.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates. Well, viewers, we are sort of deviating from an all week of women, and we're welcoming a man on set with us this morning. We have Mr. Craig Forbes-Warner, and he is from the Department of Advanced Training and Advisory Services, from the Division of Education, Research and Technology, and he is here to talk about some of the opportunities that is available for persons, you know, studying and so on here in Tobago. So good morning and welcome to you, sir. How are you?
Good morning and thank you for having us. I'm fine, thanks.
Great. Now, first of all, to give me an idea of what does your department, what are the services that your department offer to the public?
Well, as you rightly said, the department is within the Division of Education, Research and Technology. We provide financial assistance to persons who decide to pursue tertiary education or who are pursuing tertiary education. We also provide persons and advisory service to persons who require that type of advice, both financial as well as career guidance. And we try to also provide persons with placement for those persons who would have actually received the funding from us. We try to place them in, facilitate their placement in jobs.
Mm-hmm. How easy it is to access some of these services?
It's pretty easy. The important thing about it is that the person must have applied to an institution of study. Mm-hmm. That institution must be accredited, as well as the program that they're pursuing must be accredited. If those things aren't available, the expectation is that we wouldn't facilitate the person's thing. And there's a reason behind the expectation. So once the person would have applied to the institution of study, then they can apply to us for financial assistance.
Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter whether the institution is local or international? It
doesn't matter. The idea is that we want to see that the person, whoever the person is and whatever the institution is, the important thing is that the institution is accredited and the program is accredited. But much more than that, that the person is also pursuing something that would be of benefit to Tobago and in Trinidad and Tobago for that matter.
What about in terms of the assistance offered? What kind of assistance are we talking about?
The assistance ranges. For instance, an assistance can be provided for tuition expenses. Mm-hmm. It may apply for your living expenses, which may be accommodation, your meals, transportation. Transportation would be a part of your living expenses, and a number of other things, books and so forth. So it's a wide range of things that you may get assistance to cover in terms of your expenses.
And then what would determine what sort of assistance you get?
Well, the THA determines what assistance you will get. Mm-hmm. You applied, you will indicate what you're required for, and in some instances, you're looking at what your expenses would have been, mm-hmm. and what you are looking for the THAs to provide you with assistance with. And the THA would go through your application via a training awards committee that would make the recommendation to the Executive Council of the Tobago Assembly, and hopefully from that means you'll get through with the assistance.
Now, does the person always have to apply? Does it have to be like at the start of the program, or could it be like their pathway through the program and maybe they realize that they need some assistance to continue? Can they still go to you guys?
Yes, they can. It doesn't only mean if the person would have now started that they can apply for financial assistance. They can apply when they are in the program of study, mm-hmm. and they can apply before they start the program of study. But the important thing is that they would have applied, they would have gained acceptance, and once they require the necessary assistance, they require that they in a need for the assistance, they can apply for the assistance from us.
Now, there are two types of grants or facilities. There's the grants and then there's the bursary. Mm-hmm. Can you explain them both and what's the difference between them?
Right. Bursaries are usually of a duration of a longer period, say mm-hmm. a year and more. And the requirement for the person is much more than, say, $10,000. Whereas a grant is for a short-term program that is a year and less, and the maximum award under that is $10,000. For instance, if someone is, say, for instance, doing a master's degree and they are doing some research, and they have been tapped out, so to speak, in terms of what they require in terms mm-hmm. of the funding, and they need to do the research, then they can apply to us for financial assistance to help them through via the grant, to help them through with that process, especially if the funding that they require is less than $10,000 and less.
And is there any limit to how many people that the division can help?
Well, all things would depend on your availability of funding and so forth. But right. Once the person is require the assistance, they can submit an application to us.
All right. And then what in terms of, just payback, like is it any loan facilities? Is there any sort of a commitment that the student has to make towards working for the THA for a certain amount of time after they finish their study? What are the stipulations like
Okay.
for accepting the grants or the bursaries?
Right. Well, the grant in itself doesn't require you to so much work for the Tobago Assembly, but it's one requirement is that you have completed the program of study, that we require that you complete the program of study, and two, that you can provide some service to Tobago at the end of the day. Whereas the bursary, you have a commitment to Tobago, a period of obligation that you have to serve Tobago. For that matter, if you decide that you're not going to serve, then you are required to repay the funds, which attracts an interest towards it. So that is the barrier or the difference between both of them in terms of giving you that.
Okay. And what's the process like to apply? Like so someone's listening to this interview and they're getting prepared, but they don't know how they're going to get the funding. What is the process like?
Okay. Currently, our applications are done online, and you can go to the division's website, and you can be able to download the application form and get the necessary information from there. As I said, the first part of your thing is that you would have applied to an institution of study, you have gained acceptance into the institution of study as well as into the program of study, and then you can apply to us. As I also indicated, one of the important things that we look for is the accreditation of the institution and the program. We also look for whether you tell us exactly what you're asking us for, and then you go through the process of that. So all of that is online, and you can be able to get the necessary information while you visit our website.
And is there any specialty scholarships that are being offered at this point in time for students?
Currently, they are in discussions on that, and as soon as that has finalized, we will advertise that to the general public so that persons could participate in that program of study.
And what are some of the words of advice that you want to offer to students that are that are looking towards, applying and that sort of thing?
I will say to that individual, apply. Once you would have met the necessary requirements for application, you could simply apply. If you have some concerns or anything like that, we are there available for you to contact us, and we will be able to help you through the process.
And then when it comes to gate funding as well, would that complicate the process? Could a person apply for gate funding and still access some help from the division?
Yes, persons would have applied for gate and gained acceptance for gate, as well as applied for us for financial assistance. And if you note what gate covers, gate in some respect would not cover a person's total expenses,
right?
Because it just simply covers the person's tuition expenses, and therefore the persons would be in some need for assistance in other areas, for instance, the accommodation, the meals, the transportation, whatever the case may be. So yes, a person can still apply even though they would have applied and gotten gate assistance.
And then in terms of students that are traveling, that have to journey to Trinidad weekly, because we have a lot of students that have to go over for classes and that sort of thing, that cost can be covered through your department.
Yes, they can apply to us for assistance to cover the transportation to Trinidad via the grant program, or they can apply to the bursary program, but it all depends on what your requirements are.
All right. Now, I think we've covered pretty much everything. I don't know if I've left anything out of, some of the things that the public needs to know about your department.
Well, apart from the fact that we provide bursaries and grants, we also do scholarships, as you indicated a short while ago. We have two forms of scholarship. We have a scholarship that is based on A-level CAPE, that is, and that is more merit-based scholarship based on the person's performance. And basically, that should cover the whole of what the department does, as well as we do go out to the public, encouraging them to think about tertiary education. And if they're thinking about it, the fact that they need to start putting aside, especially parents, start doing the necessary saving and investing for education, because it's an expensive journey.
It is.
And therefore, if you are doing that, THA would be able to only assist you with so much. And therefore, you still have to find the necessary wherewithal to be able to help you through your program of study.
And is there any age limit?
There would be age limits to everything. Currently, the age limit may be, we try our best to see how, because if you're looking for funding to pursue a particular program of study, and we want you to provide service to us in terms of for the Tobago Assembly and then perhaps Tobago in general, there may be an age limit. That will be determined by the Tobago Assembly in terms of what they're going to do in terms of funding a person who's at a certain age.
All right. Well, I want to thank you so much for being on with us and for sharing that information. But before we go, again, just let the just share the information about how people can get connected with the department to get that assistance.
Sure. Persons can connect us via the Tobago Assembly website, icha.diedert. I'm always remembering dirt. DIE, the former name that is. But it is dert.gov.tt. They can contact us via that website. They can also contact us via the division's head office, and they can contact us via telephone at 2990781.
All right, great. All right, well, I guess that's it. Thank you so much for being on with us and for sharing with us information. I don't know, you want to say something else?
Not necessarily. Just basically shout out to the staff of Datas, the female staff of Datas, as well as the whole division of education in terms of International Women's Day and celebration.
All right, thank you so much. Well, we've got a lot more coming up for you after the break, so please don't go anywhere.
Passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear me neighbor. 60,000 people strong.